Wow, guys, what an unbelievable, elite, high-level fight that was from Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. I noticed a lot of very, very interesting things in this fight, guys, so stick with me to the end of this one as I go through 6 things we learned from Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to A Guy Called Henry, and welcome to 6 things we learned from Artur Beterbiev versus Dmitry Bivol. Artur Beterbiev with that majority decision win. He is now the unified, undisputed light heavyweight champion of the world, and he thoroughly deserves it, and I'm very, very happy for the man. It was a very, very, very good performance. And look, there's so much to get into here. There's a lot of controversy to talk about. There is a lot of tactical and technical things that I noticed in the fight that I think are worth talking about, mentioning. And it was a fight that it could have gone either way, to be perfectly honest with you guys. You know, I'm not somebody that is going to start yelling robbery when there isn't one. A lot of people yelling robbery, including Eddie Hearn after the fight. I think there was a few other people out there. There was a lot of people getting on my stream afterwards that were absolutely adamant that this was a robbery of epic proportions. I just want to start by establishing what I think a robbery is before we get into this video, because, you know, I think it's really clear. It's really important to be clear on this. You know, I think a lot of the times, as soon as the fight that we want to win doesn't win, and they could have done, we think it's a robbery, because everybody's got their natural biases and tendencies and things they're looking for, things they're leaning towards. So for me, a robbery is when one guy has clearly won a fight and the other guy has awarded the decision. For me, a robbery is not when you have a very, very close competitive fight that could go either way. That's not a robbery. And that's what we've just seen. And, you know, the scorecards were very interesting. Stick with me to the end of the video because I'll give you my scorecard at the end of the fight. But the scorecards were extremely interesting to me because there was one that was 116-112, which, you know, it's hard to say that it's 8-4 to Beterbiev over Bivol in that fight. But at the same time, there were so many rounds that were close. It only takes you to score a couple of those close rounds to the same guy, and suddenly you've got quite a wide-looking scorecard. Just because a scorecard is relatively wide, it doesn't mean that the rounds that were in there weren't extremely close. So sometimes the score doesn't necessarily reflect the competitiveness of a fight. But it's not like there was clear rounds that Beterbiev won and clear rounds that Bivol won by and large. Most of them could have gone either way. So I don't have a problem with anybody scoring this fight by a round or two to Bivol. I don't have a problem with anyone scoring this fight a round or two to Beterbiev. A draw was also a very fair scorecard. So before we get into 6 things we learned, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. Get your comments in the comments section below. What did you think of this fight? Who did you think won? And what would you like to see each man do next? Also, really cool thing I'm doing, I've got this Discord server that I've set up where we're talking boxing. So jump on the link in there if you want to join the community I'm building over there. Already, only been going a few days, already got some really cool people in there who really know their boxing, and the vibe's just great. It's awesome. Everybody is just exchanging ideas, they're chatting, and I'm actually very proud of it already. So get involved if you enjoy talking about boxing and you want to share some thoughts and ideas. So we begin with the first box, and it's a green box, and it's a green box for the style clash of the two men. They gelled exactly how I thought they would. When I made my pre-fight prediction, I felt that this was two absolute masters of two very, very contrasting styles coming together. Beterbiev, obviously, with the relentless come forward pressure, but very smart pressure, the supreme punch power, and Bivol with the back foot brilliance, the movement, the jab, all that was there on display. And to be honest with you, I think that whilst it was very entertaining to see two guys who are so good at what they do come into the ring together and try and figure out ways of nullifying one another, that was kind of what they did a lot of the fight. You know, there was a lot of good defensive work from both men. But equally, in their contrasting styles, they both had moments where they were successful. So I felt that the styles delivered and produced everything that we thought they would. And I think that it made for exactly the fight I thought it would be, which was, I thought that Bivol would take over early on. I thought that the first few rounds were going to be his. Beterbiev, notoriously a slow starter as well. So that was something that I was really factoring in. But also the fact that Beterbiev likes to warm his way into fights. And then once he's got he's comfortable with the range, he's comfortable with the defensive movements and all that sort of thing, then he starts to turn up the pressure. As the other fighter starts to slow down, he starts landing his big shots. Never really overcommits with anything either, Beterbiev. He's very economical with the way he throws his power punches. He's just very, very heavy-handed. But I thought that both men really delivered with their styles, really delivered with the way that they performed in the fight. Prior to the match, I did predict Beterbiev to win by knockout, but we'll get to that because I think there was a reason that the knockout didn't actually happen, and I feel that it could have come for him. but it didn't quite get there. But in terms of how the fight progressed and who grew and who sort of shrunk a little bit, very much it was Bivol very dominant early. Beterbiev I felt was the more dominant man late. As I say, I'll get to my scorecard later. Box number 2, and it's a green box for Beterbiev's knee. He moved really well in this fight. It didn't seem like there was any ill effects of that knee surgery that he had. And, I think everybody will have been really happy to see that, because before the fight, one of my fears for it was that we weren't going to get the best Beterbiev, and it would have just been such a shame when these two guys have been the two guys that we wanted to see fight for so long, to watch it and go, oh, that guy's not fit. His knee's bad. But, actually, I'll talk about that later. This is quite an important point. The knee is still a factor in this fight, and I'll talk about why I think it is. But it's a green box for the knee because it didn't affect Beterbiev's performance, in that the knee seemingly wasn't causing him any pain. I thought his feet were great. He moved really well. He closed the gap well. So the knee was all good, and I'm so relieved it was, because it would have been such a shame for injury or, to have ruined this fight, for it to have been a bit too late for Beterbiev. It would have been such a shame. And, at 39, arguably, you're never going to see the best Beterbiev again. Probably never going to see the best Beterbiev again. I think he's been and gone. I think he was probably 2019 in terms of performances I've seen, the Vosdik fight. But still, a great Beterbiev, a great performance, and obviously he got the win. Box number 3, and it's a green box for Bivol's movement and speed. I thought that he was actually spectacular in moments. The way that he was on the back foot, constantly moving, the stamina he's got to keep his legs going like that for 12 rounds is absolutely incredible. And there were moments, and I said this before the fight, I thought there might be moments where he made Beterbiev look a bit amateurish, and there was moments where Bivol looked absolutely electric. The way that he moved around, the way that he would turn defense into offense very, very quickly. Good counter. He was sort of counter-punching a bit more in this fight than I've seen at times Bivol. I need to watch it back again and check for foot faults with Beterbiev. I said before the fight, I felt that Bivol would look to move at the moments when Beterbiev was kind of off balance, when he crosses his legs sometimes. Beterbiev, he's not got bad feet. It's just that he's got an unorthodox way of moving into range at times, and if you can capitalize on those, then they become a weakness. But I would like to watch it back, and I will probably do a post-fight technical analysis of this fight once the footage is up and I can actually analyze it correctly. But yeah, there were moments where Bivol just looked so fast with his hands, so fast with his feet, and yeah, he just looked fantastic. And I know this is a bit of a weird comparison, but it reminded me a bit of the way that Warrington approached the Frampton fight, where he kind of was on his bike for a lot of the rounds, but then he would just suddenly turn defense into offense and just open up with these fast, sharp shots. And the way that he scored his points in this fight was very, very good, very impressive. And, Bivol will come again. He is an absolutely brilliant elite fighter, one of the best boxers in the world. And it was a great performance from him, even though he didn't quite get the decision. On another day, he would get the decision. As I say, he started the much faster of the two men. I thought he looked really quick at the beginning. Yeah, there was some moments where he did hurt Beterbiev too. There was a moment in round 1 when they exchanged a 1-2, the pair of them. And, that's something that's very, very brave to do against Beterbiev. So Bivol's whole style in this fight I thought was really good. He also did well to the body of Beterbiev. There was moments when he started shooting that right hand to the body of Beterbiev and hurting him there. And he definitely did cause Beterbiev some issues. There was some really big moments. I think I put that rounds 8 and 9, the right hands to the body were when it became a bit more prominent for Bivol. I remember there was a moment in round 7 where they both got hurt. I think Bivol got a little bit greedy there. And that was one thing I would say about Bivol in this fight was he did a bit too much at certain times, but then he didn't do enough in other moments. I think if it came again, he'd feel like he could put in a slightly better performance, but I think Beterbiev probably would too. It's an interesting one. We'll talk about the rematch later. Box number 4, and it's an orange box, our first orange box of the day, for the Beterbiev gas tank. And the reason it's an orange box is because obviously he's mega fit. To get through a war like this, you've got to be in serious physical condition. But Beterbiev was not as fit as I've seen him in previous fights. Now, this is why I mentioned the knee earlier and why it would be a factor later in the video, because I think likely what's happened here is, well, the first thing to say is it could just be a factor of aging. He's getting older. It's going to be harder and harder to get into shape. But he's not had like an extreme amount of punishment, Beterbiev, in the ring. And what I think has happened here is, and I said this in my my live stream I did post the fight to react. I did some stuff with Josh Taylor a couple of years ago prior to the the first Jack Catterall fight when it was rescheduled. And I remember seeing him, and he had a bad knee at the time. It really messed his knee up. And he obviously, I think Beterbiev lives a life a lot more than Josh. I think Josh wouldn't have a problem with me saying that. And I remember seeing Josh and thinking, he looks big. And the thing about knee injuries is that when you get one, you can't run. And, you know, for boxers, road work is such a huge part of the stamina and the physical conditioning to get in shape for a fight. Obviously, as I say, Beterbiev, it's the biggest fight of his career. He's older than he's ever been, because who isn't? We're older every day, but you know what I'm saying? This is the oldest he's been in his career. And he has this huge challenge in front of him. The last thing he needs is to be less fit, but the knee, I reckon they probably had to train around it to stay in shape. And I reckon he didn't have quite the gas tank he normally has. So how does that play out moving forward? I wonder if he might actually be fitter for future fights, although it might just be that he can't actually get to the required level of fitness that he needs to anymore. That was something I speculated with Tyson Fury before the Usyk fight. I thought maybe and that was why I fancied Usyk for a long time, was the pace Usyk can set. And I'm just not sure he can actually, Fury, the punishment his body's gone through over the years, I'm not sure he can actually get to that level of fitness anymore. So yeah, I think for Beterbiev, there's a chance he could actually be fitter in a rematch. But equally, it might just be that he's declining now, and this is the start of quite an aggressive decline. We don't know. So it's something we have to speculate on. It's not a red box because his stamina certainly wasn't bad. He did come on strong at the end, but I've seen him come on stronger before. And in those mid-rounds, he looked absolutely gassed. They were waving the towel. They were trying to gym up. They were saying, come on, Artur, you're not tired. Go and get him. And he looked exhausted. And there was a moment where I thought, Bivol might actually run away with this down the stretch, but it didn't happen that way. So we move into box number 5. And the box number 5, it's a green box for Beterbiev, for his double jab specifically. I thought his double jab was brilliant in this fight. I thought it was the reason that he was able to really close the gap. And actually, from the beginning, it was clear to me Beterbiev wasn't going to have that much issue closing the gap in this fight. Obviously, it wasn't easy for him. But I remember at the start of the rounds, Bivol would try and stand center ring. And actually, I can't remember who it was, but someone in my Discord server said, I wonder if Bivol might try and take center ring and fight in bursts. Now, I felt that was an impossible strategy. Sorry, it was actually to take center ring and try and push Beterbiev onto the back foot, because it's not where he's not comfortable. And we all sort of said, we think he could do that in bursts, but probably not consistently. And I think that kind of played out to be true. But the double jab of Beterbiev, you'll see there was I think it was maybe around 4. He came out and he threw 3 double jabs in a row, forcing Bivol back, and that was what really got Bivol onto the back foot. And the double jab is such an amazing, effective tool for a fighter. I'm surprised more pros don't use it. A lot of pros neglect their jab altogether, let alone the double jab. But I thought that Beterbiev's double jab was an absolutely key punch in this fight. Honourable mentions also go to the Beterbiev right hand to the body. He tried a lot with the slinging right hand over the top of Bivol's jab. It didn't really do too much, although because it's such a hard, heavy shot anyway, even just catching on the arm for Bivol was painful, I think. And you could hear after the fight, Bivol mentioned the power. He could feel the power. He said he's got unbelievable punching power, unbelievably heavy hands. And as the fight went on, he started being able to land those little cuffing hooks he likes to do, started pivoting around Bivol, getting those little hooks in. And he throws a very short, tight hook. It's very, very effective because his hands are so heavy. He doesn't really need to load up. He just has to let it go nice and loose. And he started doing that. And as I say, I felt that Beterbiev really warmed into it, as he usually does. And I thought he was very effective, I have to say. But again, I reiterate, both guys are effective in their own ways, in their own means, and the things that they do. They both had success, but they both also hit the gloves a lot. They both missed a lot. And it was a very, very close fight. Box number 6, it's our final box, and it's a green box for the rematch. I think, why would I not want to watch that again? Brilliant fight. Turki Al-Sheikh came out straight after the fight and said, yep, I'm going to do it again. He actually had Bivol winning by a couple of rounds, so he didn't seem that happy with the decision, actually, which was interesting. I was very comfortable with a Beterbiev win on the scorecards. And actually, I'll tell you now, I scored this fight 115-113 for Artur Beterbiev. So I have no issue clearly with Beterbiev winning. And before you Bivol fanboys start going, oh, you're biased. I'm not biased at all, actually. And obviously, look, we all have subconscious biases. But my bias, if it's there, I mean, I don't know what it would be for. I don't have any skin in this game. I thought Beterbiev would win the fight. That was my prediction. But I wouldn't have any problem with Bivol winning. In fact, Bivol winning is probably better because you get more interesting fights after that. He's got a longer career to go. So him winning, having that guy who had all the belts unified at that weight, that would have been far more exciting probably for the next sort of 5 to 10 years. Whereas Beterbiev, how long's he got left? Probably not long. So, I have no agenda, no bias with this. That was just how I scored the fight. I felt that Beterbiev took it. But I have absolutely no problem with a similar scorecard for Bivol. I think Bivol, very, very deserving of a rematch. If ever there was a fight where someone deserved a rematch, I think it was this. I felt that it was just a really good scrap, and they should definitely do it again if it's on the table. If not, there's some great options for both guys. Some people are talking about Beterbiev potentially going up to cruiser. That would be an interesting move. I mean, the Jar Pataya fight would be very, very challenging at this stage. He's a big, athletic, physical guy. But that would be a chance to chase serious greatness for Beterbiev. And for Bivol, I mean, it's a weird one, isn't it? Because they're both so clearly ahead of the rest at light heavyweight that it's like, that's when you start thinking about catchweight fights. You start thinking, if he can get down to 168 as he claims he can, does he try and do a Canelo rematch? Does he try and fight other guys at that weight? I don't know. It's a really difficult one. I don't think I see Bivol going up to cruiser. I think he's too small for that. But equally, yeah, I don't know. The division feels cleaned out. It feels done. But then I suppose there's quite a few guys Bivol hasn't thought yet. So there could be some interesting matchups to be made for him in that division. But guys, please get in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought of this fight. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As I say, the Discord server link is in the description. I've got a lot of good content planned for you guys. I'm probably going to do something about Eubank Jr. because he obviously won his fight. I have to say, actually, I have to apologize to everybody. Obviously, I didn't make it on the live stream for the card. I was fully intending on doing that. I'd set it up, I'd scheduled it, everything, and it ended up being a post-fight stream. What happened was, I am a disgrace of a human being. I went out last night. I got far too drunk. I didn't even have dinner, which is weird for me because I like to eat. And I just woke up this morning and I'm still an absolute mess right now, to be honest with you. So I've struggled through this 6 things we learned. I want to get out on time because you know what it is, guys, at the minute, I'm so motivated to make this channel a thing right now. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm loving the journey I'm going on. I've got so many cool people coming on this channel and watching the videos. So many just really remarkable, like, appreciative comments as well. I'm so happy at how you've all received the content I'm putting out. So right now, I can't stop. I can't slow down. I've got to keep up with the pace. This is not my full-time thing, obviously, but you know, maybe one day it will be. I'd love to grow this channel to a massive thing. So yeah, I apologize for the live stream not happening, but trust me, you would not have wanted to hear from me in the state I was in this morning. So yeah, next time we'll definitely do the full card. I think I'm actually going to be back in the UK for Fury Usyk 2, so we will definitely do that full card. That will be very fun. And for now, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as I always say, on to the next one.